Hello, this is Jill from Paper Daisy Crafting. Thank you for joining me today, pressing play on the video. And today is the next part of our Card Making for Beginners 2020 course, where I'm going over everything that you might need to know if you're a complete beginning to card making. But don't turn off if you're not a beginner, because there might be some tips in this video that would help you as well. A lot of things that I didn't know when I first began stamping and didn't learn until I was several months or years even in. So don't think there won't be anything for you, but this is everything that you need to know. And today what we're going to deal with is stamps. So the essential part of our card making journey are the stamps, obviously, because I'm a demo for Stampin Up. Stamps are in my blood. And as you might know, Stampin Up offers two types of stamps. So I'm just going to show you on this page, on page 3 of your catalogue. So if you just open your catalogue, it will say stamps. Our exclusive stamps are known for quality and versatility, designed with every crafter in mind. And then it goes, it's got two little boxes here with the two types of stamps that we now offer. Cling, so red rubber stamps, which are called cling in Stampin' Up terminology, comes with a highly adhesive coordinated image label. Follow the instructions to label them up properly. And then photopolymer, which are transparent stamps, ideal for precision alignment and to help with two-step stamping, building scenes or layering images. So we'll go through all of those, but two types, red rubber and these ones photopolymer. That's what they're made of. That's why they're called photopolymer. It's made, that's the material they're made of. So they're not actually made of rubber, even though we tend to call it rubber stamping. Right, okay. So that's page 3. Now, all of the stamps come in these like DVD cases. They're the same size as DVD cases. So they're very easy to stack on a shelf and line up, and very easy then to see the stamp sets you've got. You can see I label mine with a coloured dot to tell me about the sentiment. So if it's got a nice thank you sentiment in it, I label it with a pink dot. I haven't labelled this one up yet. That's a fairly new one. It tells you the name of the stamp, tells you whether they're photopolymer or cling, and then it gives you all the images, smaller images, but you can, so I can glance up, all mine are on my desk in front of me, so I can just glance up and pick out a stamp set by looking at the images. So if I want one with flowers, I can see, oh, I've got that one with flowers and that one with flowers. So very, very useful storage there. And also what I can show you in the catalogue is it will tell you what type of stamps. So if I open it at any page, it will tell me that this set consists of 13 photopolymer stamps. It does also tell me that they're available in French and German, because some of our stamps are translated into other languages. And this one says 11 cling stamps. So these would be red rubber, these would be clear photopolymer stamps. So it tells us in there, and it also tells you the suggested clear blocks that you would need. This one says A, B, D and H. This one says A, B, C and D. Now what I recommend for beginners in terms of blocks is that you purchase, if you can only afford to purchase one, that you purchase for D, because with most stamp sets, let's just grab a random one here, all of these images are going to fit on a D block. However, if you can afford to buy any of the slightly smaller ones, so that's a C. Let me have a look. Where are my blocks? If you can afford to buy any of the smaller ones, because the smallest block that you can get away with is the best one to stamp with. If you've got a very tiny image, so some of these images in here, for example, let's take, this is one of the butterfly wings. If you put it on this block, you can see there's going to be an awful lot of block not used. If you put it on here, they get a much better purchase on it, and you're less likely to rock and get ink on the block, which might transfer to your paper. So buy a D if you're a complete beginner, but if you can afford to buy any of the smaller blocks as well, that would be great. I will do another video all about our blocks and why they are so great, but that's not part of today's lesson or time. So let's think about red rubber. I've got a set of red rubber stamps here. This is the Lovely You set from the new catalogue. It says Cling Stamp Set up there. So when you're looking at them on your shelf, it will say Cling Stamp Set there. So you know what sort of stamps they are. And they come with this sheet of labels and then there's the red rubber. Now this is all die cut already, so you just have to push them out. So let me, some of these I've already pushed out. You can see the ones with the labels missing. So let's push out one that I haven't used yet. So I haven't used this one. So you can see they're just connected, and you can just break that seal and pull them out, and then pull off the white label on the back. Now then you could put on one of the very, very sticky labels on here. So that one would be, that label would be going on there. I don't tend to put my labels on very often because I find that they cling fine without, and I don't really need to know. I don't really need to see a picture through there. So generally I don't place mine, but I will do a quick little video. There are a lot on YouTube already showing you how to put those stamps, those labels on your stamps if you wanted to. But like I say, they do cling very easily to a clear block anyway. Look, that's not going anywhere. So I don't have any issues. It's because our previous type of stamps, before we had the cling, the labels weren't sticky at all, and the stamps used to fall off, so I never put those labels on, and I've just carried on since then, not putting them on. One of the things that they recommend with the red rubber, let's just put that one back on my block again, is that you use a foam mat, because there's no cushioning in here like you get in the other stamps. Oh no, actually no, this is not the cling, not these ones, it's the photopolymer you need the foam mat with. My bad. No, forget I said that. We'll do that with the photopolymer. Okay, so the reason that there are two kinds of stamp sets with Stampin' Up is some people prefer the red rubber because they feel you get a much more clear, crisp image. I actually don't see much difference, but that's the theory. So a lot of people prefer the red rubber stamps. But the disadvantage of them is, of course, you can't see through them. So positioning, especially of sentiments and getting them straight, can be a bit of an issue for beginners. So you might want to think about that. If you're stamping and then cutting out or punching out or die cutting, doesn't matter so much. Or if you're doing random stamping of flowers, and it doesn't really matter. But if you want something that's really precisely positioned, it's more tricky with the red rubber stamps than it is with the photopolymer. And just to say, I just keep the outline of my rubber. So some people take their stamps out and just keep their stamps separately and throw this outer bit away. I always keep mine, and I put the stamps back, and then I can see very easily if there's one missing, and I can see where they go. So that's just how I keep mine. Now, photopolymer stamps. So let's look at this one. This is photopolymer stamps. I've got my dies in there as well. Let's just turn them over a minute. I've got the dies that go with them. Photopolymer stamps, obviously clear, can see through them. So they're very, very easy to position. You can see that if you had this on a block and went to print it, you can see and you can tell whether it's straight. So they're really good for beginners, photopolymer stamps. They will stain a little bit. Now you might be able to see, you can tell the ones I've already used here because they have stained a little bit. I'll show you another couple of sets. So I've got this one that I've used a lot. You can see those have stamped. They always tend to stain pink. Doesn't affect them in the slightest. They're clean, they haven't got any ink left on them, but they just stain. So be ready for that because they will stain. Like I say, lining up greetings is a cinch with these. So I've shown you on another video, I know, but I will just show you again. Take the stamp that you want to use. So I'm going to take that one. And then line it up on some sort of line. So find a line that you can line it up with. And then bring your block to it and also line your block up. And then you know that if you stamp, that's going to be straight. So very, very easy to do. The thing I was going to say about the others, and I realised I was talking about the wrong stamps, is some people say that you should use a foam pad when stamping with photopolymer because they haven't got the cushion. So if we look back at the cling stamps, they've got some cushioning there, which helps to give a nice clear image, and the photopolymer stamps don't have that. So the recommendation is that you use a foam mat. Now this is the foam pad that comes with the Stamparator, so it's quite a nice size. It's on page 164 of the catalogue and it's only £2.75. And you might find that stamping with that, so you put your paper on there and then stamp on there, and you may get a better image. Personally, I don't use a foam pad, but that is the recommendation, and a lot of people do swear by it, so I'm just letting you know about that. Now, the other thing that is really great for photopolymer stamps, it's the wrong box, let's put these ones out in the right one, is that they can be bent into shape if you want to. So I'm going to demonstrate with this bigger thank you. So what I can do with the photopolymer stamps is, this is a straight sentiment, so if I line it up and put it on my block there you go, we can have it. That would help if I put it the right way up, wouldn't it? Let's put it that way, otherwise I'm going to be stamping a blank. There we go. Just line it up, and then you've got it nice and straight. That's better than trying to place it on the stamp block, because as you place it you can tend to bend it. Now, you can do it accidentally, but you can also do it quite deliberately. So I could bend this stamp round a bit, and then I've got a curved thank you, which might be the look I'm going for. So very, very useful to do that with photopolymer stamps. The only other thing to say is about cleaning. With photopolymer stamps, you could just run them under the tap to get the ink off, just under some water, and then dry them off with something that's not going to leave any fibres. So don't dry them, you know, kitchen towel might leave fibres on them, so you just need a lint-free cloth or something to dry them on, or just leave them to air dry. So you don't need to invest in any particular cleaner, although our stamping chamois, our simple chamois, would be great for them. With the cling stamps, if you run them under water too much, you're going to dislodge the adhesive that sticks the foam to the stamp, so I would advise using one of our cleaners for those. But photopolymer, you can just rinse, and also if they become a bit less sticky, just running them under the tap with a little bit of washing up liquid can help as well, retain the stickiness. Now, what else have we got to talk about? So we've got some other stamps in our catalogue that I just want to mention. Now, the first thing to mention is different types of images. So I'm going to bring out Lovely You, and then I'm going to bring out Four Season Floral. Now, what you will notice is that in Lovely You, the images are solid. So to stamp these, you need a coloured stamp pad, because then the colour that you use will be the colour that you stamp. So you might stamp that in green, you might stamp that in pink, you might stamp that in whatever. So you don't need any other colouring methods. You can use your inks to colour these, to stamp these. But we also have outline stamps, which is the Four Season Floral is a good example. So these are black line images that you could leave as they are, but normally we would look to using one of our colouring mediums to colour them with. So you might want to bear that in mind. So this would look great stamped in Memento Black, and then coloured either using our watercolour pencils or our blends, or one of the many other ways we've got of colouring. So that's worth bearing in mind as well. If you've got a very limited amount of colours, then it might be worth going for this and then trying to buy a pack of watercolour pencils, for example, so you've got lots of different colours to colour with. If you've got lots of different colour stamp set, then something solid might be good, because you can do lots of different colours with your images. So one thing or the other. Right, the other thing is that we have two-step images. Now again, it will say in the catalogue, so I'm going to find Butterfly Gala in the catalogue, page 79, and just show, I don't know whether you'll be able to see on camera, but I'll show you where it says it and you can look it up. Look at Butterfly Gala. It says 18 photopolymer stamps, two-step. That means this is a two-step stamp set, which means that you do two different images on top of each other to get the completed image. So with the Butterfly Gala set, you would stamp one of the butterflies, doesn't matter which one, and you might do that in black, or you might do it in a colour, and then you would come back and stamp these solid images over top, so you get an outline image and a filled in image, which would be really great. So that's quite a good thing to know. And there are lots of two-step stamps, so you need to look for two-step in the description. There's another one, I think Inspiring Iris is two-step, so let's look, 118. There we go, 2-step. It says 2-step there. So those are those to look at. I think we have some 3-step stamp sets as well, although I couldn't name them off the top of my head, I'm afraid. Now the other thing that I wanted to show you is our distinctive stamps. So on page 51 is the Blossoms in Bloom, which is one of my favourite stamp sets from this time. And you'll see it's got this little icon here which says distinctive. And that's because the stamps have been manufactured to give you this variation in tone with just one. So it's not 2 stamps to get that. You just get this variation of tone just by doing 1 stamp. So distinctive, you want that look. It's sort of a watercolory look without having to watercolour. So if you want that sort of look, then look out for the distinctive token. And the only other thing I just wanted to show you today is the reversible stamps. So you will see in the catalogue some of these dark grey images, and that means that the stamps that they are next to are reversible, which means, now I'll go, let me do it with the butterflies. So if this was a reversible stamp, which it isn't, you can stamp that way and you will get the outline, but then you could turn it over and then you could get that infill on that side. That would just be a solid image. Now it won't work on this one, you can see, because the photopolymer is much wider than the actual image, so it won't work on that one, but on some of our stamps it will work. So we've got the jar on this one, so you can do the detailed image of the jar there, and then if you wanted to, you could use this one to stamp it solid and make it look like it was filled with water or something. So lots and lots of different stamps. I hope that's helped you to understand a bit more about why we have 2 sorts. You don't get a choice, you can't choose. So each stamp set either comes in photopolymer or it comes in red rubber cling. So you don't get a choice, you have to have what they've said. But there are 2 types, and so you'll probably build up a selection of both types. I like both, I don't have a preference, although I think for beginners, if I was pushed to make a decision, it would be photopolymer, just because of the ease of positioning and getting things right the first time. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you want to purchase anything that I've mentioned today, just go down below and there's a link through to my online shop. But if you want to ask any questions at all about being a beginner and what you might need, or anything at all, anything about our stamps, please get in touch. If you go to my blog, my email address is on there, or you can just leave a message under this video and I can reply to you there. But that's all for today. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.